city of Clintonville, Wisconsin is on edge over something that's going bump in the night.
Around 3 a.m., I really heard just some loud noises like sonic booms.
Police and other emergency crews have been on the prowl, trying to hunt down what's causing all the racket, but so far, no luck. It all started Sunday and Monday nights, and police got flooded with dozens of calls when they hit. City officials say they've exhausted all the reasonable explanations, including construction work, and they've checked methane levels, too. They've even called in a seismologist who couldn't explain the matter.
Well, I think we can rule out that really sort of standard earthquake activity, some swarm of earthquakes, is not happening in that region. It also really looks like it's not connected to, say, unusual drilling activity or some other kind of real obvious human-induced signal.
Officials are now inviting residents to a special city meeting to try to get to the bottom of it.
Hello everyone, welcome to Global Government News. Today is Wednesday, March 21st, 2012, and I'm Darko. My website is ggnonline.com, and YouTube is ddarko2012 and ddarko2013. So I wanted to include that siren in there, and it really stinks because, you know, that thing was going for probably about 4 minutes. I mean, you know, I was kind of just, I heard it, and then I'm like, okay, well, yesterday they had a siren, just a normal siren, and they usually do that about halfway through the month, but then they had it again the next day, and it wasn't like, you know, around noon when they normally do it. It was in the morning, and it sounded a lot more weird than what I showed in those 40 seconds, because I only got the tail end of it, where you heard, you know, just kind of those weird sounds, and then it kind of tailing off like an air raid. But there was a lot more before that, and hopefully I can catch another one. So two things I'd like to say before I start here, and that is, first, I'm not in fear of any disaster. I'm actually looking forward to it, because I think it's going to be, you know, an opportunity for this minority of us free thinkers to actually become free. Because as long as everybody else believes in a piece of paper, then we're kind of bound to that. Because if, you know, we're kind of like them, right? So we're going to get hauled in while this happens, you know, and I guess the best goal is to try to stay away from all that, the little kind of, you know, hurting basically of the masses during this national crisis. So for those that want to be individuals, this would be a good opportunity. So it's not so much that that I'm saying, oh, there's a big, you know, there's big something coming. It's just that, you know, it's kind of giving a timeline of little things that are happening along the way that you should just at least pay attention to, so that if you do have your little survival bag, your backpack or something like that, and you have somewhat of a plan, you can kind of gauge it, you know what I mean? If you haven't got your family talk to them about a plan or something like that, maybe you can try again with them. Be like, you know, what are you guys going to do? You know, if the electricity goes out or something, how are we going to meet up? You know, it may just be another incentive to get together with your family or friends and try to hash that out. So this first article I have up is Pentagon's Iran buildup calling for adding laser weapons. I've covered this actually kind of a lot recently, tying them into blurbs in the news about it. The U.S. Central Command plans to bolster military capabilities against Iran, right? That's just what they're telling us, by fielding new laser target trackers for machine guns, enhanced sensors for underwater vehicles, improved protection against drone attacks. So, I mean, they're the ones that are carrying out all the drone attacks, so who are they going to defend against themselves? It says that Tampa, Florida-based command, which is responsible for U.S. forces in the Persian Gulf region, also want to shift $5.5 million in previously approved funds to buy Gatling guns for Navy coastal patrol craft, according to budget documents. And it goes on and says they threatened to Iran has threatened to close the Strait of Hormuz, which all this oil comes in, and it's supposed to tell people, oh my God, what do I do? What are we going to do? Oh, well, the U.S. Navy would move to stop any attempt to lay mines in the Strait of Gulf. Oh, whew. Well, thank God for that military-industrial complex and my tax dollars going towards it, because I don't know what we'd do as an act, you know. And meanwhile, the gas prices are like $4.10, and it has nothing to do with Iran or any of this, right? So if Iran did do that, Vice Admiral Mark Fox says that would be an act of war. So before we get to the lasers, it goes on, the article is trying to sell how they need to steal more money from taxpayers to fund these weapons. And it goes, oh, see, in a couple cases, Iran improved capabilities faster than we anticipated, right? So just like the nuclear threat, it's faster than we they said that 8 years ago. The next year, the next 2 years, it's going to be faster. And it goes in there and it says, oh, Iran's drones has an active program, lethal drones. And that's kind of interesting because, I found this article a couple days ago, on the 17th, Iran claims to have domestically produced drone. Now, this is the same drone that was shot down, or it wasn't even shot down. It was brought down, landed, and basically given to them in a nice little red ribbon to the Iranians. And then, of course, what you saw after that was, when it first came down, was that the U.S., they're coming up with a brand new drone. So, and I've heard, just recently about Ahmadinejad being a Kabbalist agent, so that's probably how it is in every single country, and they just do this so they can create their nice big money-making machine. So it goes in there and talks about small, fast patrol vessels, kamikaze boats. I've even heard that. As described by BAE Systems, a nice small mom-and-pop shop, subcontractor Boeing company, the tactical laser systems bring high-precision accuracy against surface and air targets, such as small boats and unmanned aerial systems. So here's all the links. I've covered them before. They came from a listener, so... They're the ones that sent me the links originally on these directed energy weapons. I wouldn't have really have known about it if it wasn't for that, so I appreciate it. And these people have all the links right here. You can go check them out. They have their own little headquarters and now just set up. But what I was going to say too was mysterious booms rattle Wisconsin City. If you look in here, it goes on and it says the Project Pandora, conducted by the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research, included externally induced auditory input from pulse microwave audiograms of words or sounds which create the effects of hearing voices or noises that are not part of the recipient's own thought processes. Although in very quiet environment, the test subject would clearly hear the words or sounds whether or not the person was hearing ear protection, such as earplugs. Okay, so this was interesting that I found. Congress approved $28 million shift to provide U-2 spy planes with upgraded satellite links that increase their capability to provide real-time, high-bandwidth video feeds to ships, ground forces, and command and control centers, according to the reprogramming documents. So this is part of the recent defense budget. Remember, I covered about how they're going to use less regular troops and more drones and more special forces. One of the things that they said was that they were going to stay with this U-2 spy plane instead of more radical designs. Look at funds were shifted from the Pentagon Biological and Chemical Weapons Defense Program and Navy Air Force Shipbuilding, Satellite, and Aircraft programs deemed to have excess funds or experiencing delays. So that'll give you a little hint as to where they're going with this. And it's this: Global Intelligence and Information Grid goes online, and it says here the framework aims for streamlined intelligence sharing. So there's all your subsurface, surface stuff going on there. But also there's your U-2 spy plane and your Predator drones. BAE Systems to supply B-2 threat warning system upgrade. Vision 2015 globally networked and integrated intelligence enterprise. It says here Boeing demonstrates near space networking technology. If you're a new listener, links will be posted in YouTube's video description, so go check it out. I'll just read this editor's note and move on. This is something that the author has been following for half a decade, integrating intelligence agencies, geospatial intelligence, jets, drones, and more down to boots on the ground in one system, special forces, right? A few years ago, the head of the DNI mentioned that there was plans to integrate all of the world's intelligence agencies, and DI2E is a continuation of that. All right, so I'm going to finish up with some Big Brother news. Lawsuit mobile applications accessing users' address books, says a class action lawsuit filed this week in Austin alleges the makers of some of the world's most popular apps routinely steal address book data such as names, phone numbers, email addresses, job titles, and even birthdays from millions of users without their knowledge or consent. Connecticut is like you're gonna get hauled off, abducted, pre-dawn, and it's like, well, I didn't consent to that. I didn't consent to it. Connecticut advances RFID license plate legislation. Connecticut's Senate Transportation Committee backs bill to explore implanting electronic tracking chips on license plates. And I'm sure they're already doing that, with these real thin plates you'll see in some states. They look like, pretty damn thin. I would be surprised if there wasn't RFID tracking chips like your licenses and passports. I'm sorry, your national ID, which is probably really an international ID. It says here, U.S. government admits it has seized hundreds of domains registered outside the United States. And it says here that such seizures are becoming more commonplace under the Obama regime. It says the government has seized approximately 750 domains this way. Using mobile phone user location data for crowd soft control. I've actually covered this as well in a video where the police were actually admitting that they were using the Occupy protesters' own phones to track them, and Facebook. 88% of Americans now own a cell phone, forming a massive network that offers scientists a wealth of information and infinite number of new applications with the help of the phones. These devices, cameras, recorders, other features, researchers envision endless possibilities for gathering huge amounts of data. Basically to monitor noise pollution, air quality, to applications that build maps from people's cell phone snapshot. Like Facebook, it's not something that you're being forced to carry with you all the time. You have the choice. As Occupy Arrestees Arraigned, iris scans affect bail. Yeah, it's pretty crazy here. If they don't get their iris scanned, they're not going to get bail. The protesters' legal advisors were surprised yesterday to learn that the size of their bail was being affected by whether defendants were willing to have the distinctive patterns of their irises photographed and logged into a database. Next up, we have 90% of Taser death victims were unarmed, saying that more than 500 Americans have been killed by tasers since their use began to take off in 2001, which is almost one per week. So here you go, guys. Hear the siren? Just while I'm recording. That's not a normal siren. I don't know. But I'm going to keep moving here. NYPD marks Occupy Wall Street anniversary with violent crackdown and arrest. So it said the peaceful rally had gathered almost 600 people, and police stormed Zuccotti Park. It goes on and says police are now seeking a subpoena against an activist sympathizer who tweeted a death threat to New York police on... That's crazy. It was probably the actual cops that did that made the threat. Twitter users reported broken jaws and thumbs and one man who had his head smashed into a window by police. Occupy Wall Street activist says here Cecily McMillan, sorry if I don't pronounce that right, McMillan, allegedly beaten by NYPD. She suffered a seizure Saturday night during the protest. 5 freedom-killing tactics police will use to crack down on protests in 2012, said police forces are eyeing new ways to crack down on protesters. Go check it out. Then we have this, out of hobby class, drones lifting off for personnel and commercial use. Talks about a nice personal story about Jordy Munoz, who had no training, scant schooling, little money, but he did have a video game console and nothing else to do, so he built his own drone. 5 years later, he's the CEO of 3D Robotics. So yeah, we know about this. They're going to integrate, the U.S. government integrate drones into American airspace by 2015, like 30,000 or something like that. But look at that. Experts predict drones will be used in transport air cargo, assist with search and rescue, right? But really here, perform police surveillance. How the FBI monitored anarchist hangout, organic farmers market under the guise of combating terrorists. It was called Seizing Thunder, and it says into animal rights and environmental terrorists in the Pacific Northwest, and it was seemingly pointless surveillance of activists. Well, it wasn't pointless. That was the goal, to crack down on people trying to sell raw milk and whatnot. Congratulations, New Yorkers. You'll be the first state that will require DNA samples to be collected from anyone convicted of a felony or penal law misdemeanor and placed into a DNA data bank. The Californians have Prop 69, which requires warrantless collection of DNA from any person arrested of a felony. Every state participates in CODIS, and CODIS is a DNA database maintained by the federal government. The NSA is building the country's biggest spy center. Watch what you say. According to CIA, spies could use your TV to snoop on you with not just the internet, but even radio waves from outside your home. Everything from remote controls to clock radios can now be controlled. So job seekers are getting asked for Facebook passwords, and man ordered to apologize to wife daily on Facebook. And some caution, American ISPs to launch massive copyright spying scheme on July 12th. Thank you.